We challenged each other to make a game in just 30 days.
One ocean horror game.
One zombie horror game.
2 fears, 2 games, 1 month.
In the last episode, you saw the struggle begin.
The struggle never ended.
Welcome
to episode 3.
Okay, so I started week 3 by programming my AI's behavior tree. I wanted him to randomly roam around the map until he sees the player and then break into a dead sprint in the player's direction. I also wanted him to be somewhere between 50 and 100 units faster than the player so that you had to use the parkour to get away from him. And this is how it turned out. I think that's pretty good. I then got to work building a blend space and animation blueprint for my zombie. I got an idle animation, a feasting animation, animations to make him look left and right, a screech animation, a roar animation, a walking animation, and finally this running animation, which I just find so inhuman and creepy. Then I finally put together his blend space and blueprint, which for now just has idle, walking, and running. I can add the rest later. And this is how that turned out. Right now I have a problem. He's actually kind of cute, like a little zombie puppy dog. I'll make him bigger here in a little bit just to help with that. I then added this jumping hit animation and a sphere chase so that I could add damage in the future. Around day 4 of this week, I realized that somewhere along the road, my parkour got jacked up. Yeah, I have no clue how that happened. I haven't even messed with it. I spent pretty much the entire rest of that day trying to fix this, and I ended up having to delete my line trace for ceilings, which is really annoying because just a few days ago it was working. I deleted the line trace for ceilings, and luckily it's working again, but this whole situation just really annoyed me. I had to get off after this for that day. I then started working on wall running, which I had to animate myself because I couldn't find any good animations in Mixamo or the Fab Store. And guys, look how goofy this looks. I literally just edited the running animation and turned it 45 degrees to the right. When I actually tried to implement wall running, I couldn't get it to work, and I'm running really low on this challenge, so I just had to scrap the idea of wall running altogether. Next, I ended up returning to my idea of having a maze that you were going through on this demented game show, so I raised my entire arena up so that I could justify the crowd seeing you over all the walls. I also added a really dim directional light, so when you were in the dark spots, it wasn't just completely pitch black. I then got to work on building this maze, which is surprisingly difficult in an octagonal arena. Anyways, I tried to make it so that the zombie could spawn in the middle and randomly roam around the map, and the player would spawn on one side or the other. I haven't quite decided if I want you to collect things like in Slenderman, or if I just want you to try to get to a point to escape, or maybe even just survive for a allotted amount of time. I will say though, if I do the survival route, I will have to make the zombie more aggressive, because right now he's not quite aggressive enough for that. I don't know if I've ever explained this or not, but the reason Wesley gave me zombies as a challenge was because when I was 4 years old, my grandma let me watch Dawn of the Dead, which traumatized me as a little kid. And to this day, I still get extremely anxious trying to play zombie video games. And he knew it would make it harder for me if I was testing a game about zombies. Anyways, the reason I tell you this is because in this clip, I was checking the flow of my map and I couldn't find the zombie, and then it genuinely scared me. Bro. Wait, where'd the zombie go? I'll see him. Oh, what the hell? I'm serious, guys. That was not a bit. I genuinely had to walk away from my computer for like 30 minutes after that. Anyways, now that I got my zombie roaming good, I decided it was time to add some parkour features into my actual map, so you actually had a way to get away from the zombie once he aggroed you. I just added a few vaulting points and a few sliding points, and I thought that was good enough for now. Then one of our TikTok comments gave me a good idea to make the zombie screech at you before he starts chasing you so that you know that he has aggroed. So I started trying to plug in this animation in a way that he would screech and then start chasing you once he saw you. And as you might have guessed, this is one of those times where it just won't work. First, he just sat there and screamed over and over again. Then he would scream the entire time he was chasing you. Then he wouldn't scream at all. Then he would see you and just stop moving completely. And then he wasn't even there. And then he didn't even care. Bro, what the hell? And then I finally got him to do this. It's not great, but guys, I'm running out of time in this challenge, so it's gonna have to do. Last, and most definitely least, I added these temporary concrete textures to my map just to give it a little bit more visual variability. And there you have it. This is my game so far. Week 4 is starting to seem like it's gonna be one big time crunch.
I started the week off by downloading this fish asset, and it has all the different kinds of fish that I need for all the different depths in my game. So I created a new folder and named it Fish School, and got to work creating a particle sim that could do the schools of fish. So I added a clownfish, a blue tang, and an angelfish. And then I decided to make my school 300 fish. What could possibly go wrong? Aww. Okay, so now I have a fish tornado, but there's still one problem. They can fly. So I went through the settings for a while and tried to figure out why it was doing that. I tried less fish, I tried smaller cylinders, but no matter what I tried, they were still just slowly going up. After taking way longer than I should have, I eventually got something that I was happy with. So I started trying to add the animation onto the end of my fishing blueprint just by adding an animation montage onto the very end of the blueprint. So I dropped my fishing rod in, I dragged my fishing rod mesh in, and it doesn't fit to either one. Yeah, I was just using the static mesh instead of the skeletal mesh. So I compiled and saved that and went to test it, and what the fuck? That's not how that's supposed to work. Then I messed with a bunch of settings that had nothing to do with my problem and ended up just making it worse. Oh, what is all this? So then I decided that I'm just gonna go to a new level because fuck fishing, I'm not doing it anymore. I decided to make a map that had something other than just water. I loaded the open world template, I glued all of these pieces together, then I made it into an asset and just dragged it into my other level. I adjusted the size to my world, and then I adjusted the height to make the mountains look more like islands. So I was worried that you're gonna be able to drive right up on the island, and technically, that is not a problem. I think my water is becoming an issue, so I'm just gonna give in and use the Unreal Engine 5 water plugin. So I loaded up that open world again, and I went ahead and turned on the buoyancy and the water plugins, and then I restarted my Unreal Engine 5. So I added the water, I lined them up with the mountains to make them islands. Well, that looks like shit. So then I dug out some canals to make it make more sense. And can I just say, making these canals was such a nice break from coding. It was basically just like playing with Play-Doh, but on my computer. I glued them together, I dropped it into the water, and this is what I got. At least now I have a map with more than just water, and my water's actually animated. That's all I got done in week 3. I know, I'm making hella progress. I'm gonna have a lot of work on week 4.
We've been posting shorts with small updates every day.
Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned.